Hello everyone, thanks for watching. My name is Rick Vanover and I want to do a quick vBrownbag tech talk live at VeeamOn 2015. And my topic is kind of an organizational discussion. How do SQL Server and Oracle DBAs get along with the new tools that we've created in Veeam? So this is really one of those discussions that I've had a lot with people on Twitter. You know, when we talk about the Veeam persona, the backup admin, data center virtualization admin, it's not always the Oracle DBA. It's not always the SQL Server DBA. So what I want to do is share some tips from all those discussions that I've had on Twitter with people about this very topic. So speaking of Twitter, you can tweet at me at Rick Vanover. If you have any questions about that or opinions or don't like my haircut, you can get me there. So the first thing I want to do is I want to identify the problem, right? The problem is that, you know, the DBA and the infrastructure people usually are not the same person. So what I'm going to talk about is both the different capabilities for Veeam Explorer for Oracle and Veeam Explorer for SQL Server, and then specifically how it applies to different organizations and the operational bit around it. Now, I'm going to start first with SQL Server. SQL Server, chances are, it's in almost every data center in the world. If you're backing up with Veeam, did you know that SQL Server databases, since last year, you can actually do restores of the whole database, and coming soon in version 9, you can easily restore tables, stored procedures, functions, views, that kind of stuff. And the best part is it's an agentless backup. We still have the image-based backup with all those great functionality bits, but now we're adding that additional capability for the items within the database. Now, how does that work? What Veeam Explorer for SQL Server does is the recovery, but the backup is changed a bit as well. Now, what I mean by that is the image-based backup, the application-aware image processing, that's not changed. The only thing that's different is our application-aware image processing now is communicating through OSQL to the SQL Server database to move logs. So SQL Server logs, as you might know, are really the catch-all of the data as it is changed, right? So it logs all of the data, and then it presents it back into a Veeam repository as a log backup, VLB, for those of you keeping score at home. Now, the image-based backup plus this log-based backup, those together are used to combine to make these additional restore techniques. And that is, reading on the screen here, pull the whole database right back to the last point in time, restore it to another server, so it's a migration technique, or items, which is what restore database schema and data are. And then you can also export out this database from the backup. Really, really powerful database techniques that you can use even if you're not a SQL Server DBA. Now, not to be outdone by Oracle. That's the new one, a new Explorer coming in Veeam Availability Suite V9. Veeam Explorer for Oracle will really extend a lot of the same capabilities to Oracle databases. This one, however, I'm really excited because it also supports Linux Oracle systems. Now, let me think about that. Take what we just talked about with SQL Server. The SQL Server calls were made through OSQL, which is a very much SQL Server interaction context. Oracle interacts through SQL+, which is a low-level command line, interface to get to Oracle databases. Now, the best part about Veeam Explorer for Oracle and Veeam Explorer for SQL Server is you don't need any expertise in SQL+ or RMAN or any of those command line stuffs. You don't need it. It's all done for you as a property of the job. And much like Veeam Explorer for SQL Server, you'll be able to restore the database to a point in time by doing log replay for Oracle. And Oracle is kind of interesting because it's not just a log and a data file. There's control files, temp files, data files, log files. There's all kinds of elements that go along with an Oracle database. This particular recovery technique makes it very easy to do these types of recoveries, again, if you're not a database expert. So back to the problem. The organizational question that I want to pose to you, if you have Veeam and if you have SQL and Oracle in your data center, what do? Well, I think you pose this question. Who owns the database logs? That really dictates how you're going to recover. So both Veeam Explorer for SQL Server and Veeam Explorer for Oracle will move logs through those sub-jobs, and that will allow you to do that point-in-time recovery transaction rollback. But if you don't move the logs with Veeam, you actually still can do the whole database recovery from the image-based backup. So I really encourage you, if you have a DBA, they don't want to give up the logs, give a look at just doing the image-based backup as you would with Veeam, and then doing those recoveries that would take the whole database only back to the image-based time. Now, those tools can still be used for the recovery, especially, I like to use this example. If you have a SQL Server and Oracle DBA, whenever you go into those meetings, they're always like, don't worry, I got it. I've got a script. I can recover at a point in time, any point in time. Ask the question, how often have they done that in production? Probably not much. And if they did, they got the shaky hand, you know, and they're like looking over at their Google search to see how that command line's supposed to go. Because it's one thing to make the script to do the backup. It's another thing to script out to restore with confidence, knowing it's exactly what you want. So if you're in an organization that has Veeam, has databases, has a DBA, think of the best way to mitigate those types of challenges by really having a discussion. Okay, who owns the logs? DBA, you got the logs, fine. Who owns the image-based backup? Veeam administrator, that might be your burden. You can still use Veeam Explorer for Oracle. You can still use Veeam Explorer for SQL. You wouldn't be able to do the point-in-time recovery, but you still can pull the database back to the image-based backup time. The log replay is the bit that goes. It's a great workaround. It's an extra level of protection, and honestly, I bet you still can beat them to the restore when push comes to shove. That's the quick tech talk that I wanted to share. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of VeeamOn.